Hello there. Welcome to video 167 from Sumit Academy. I do hope that you have subscribed to my channel. Do subscribe now so that you do not miss out on my previous or future videos. And do remember to like and share this video too. Do remember that the videos in my YouTube channel are for your use for your examination purposes. They are free to use and will always remain free for you all. Do use the information in these videos to the best of your ability to succeed in your endeavor to join the civil services. To make your task a little easier, here is a complete list of all the 167 videos available on my YouTube channel. The list is divided into the playlists under which they are available. Do have a look. In this video, we shall continue our study of corporate governance. Being a complex topic, we are studying it over 3 videos. In the first video, we have seen the various definitions of corporate governance, analyzed its need and benefits, talked of the 3 major principles of corporate governance, and finally, we have studied the various models of corporate governance and the legal status of corporations. In this, the second video, we shall study the OECD principles of corporate governance and understand the mechanisms and controls of corporate governance. Finally, in the third and final video, we shall understand the importance of corporate governance in India and the SEBI Code of Corporate Governance. We shall also wrap up the topic with our observations to help us frame our examination answer. So do look out for my third video later on for this topic. What are the OECD principles of corporate governance? The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, is an intergovernmental economic organization with 35 member countries, founded in 1960 to stimulate economic progress and world trade. Good corporate governance is not an end in itself. It is a means to support economic efficiency, sustainable growth, and financial stability. It facilitates companies' access to capital for long term investment and helps ensure that shareholders and other stakeholders who contribute to the success of the corporation are treated fairly. During the last decade, corporate governance rules and practices have improved in many countries and companies, but much remains to be done. And today, policymakers and regulators are faced with the important challenge to adapt corporate governance frameworks to rapid changes in both the corporate and financial landscape. Examples of such challenges include the increasing complexity of the investment chain, the changing role of stock exchanges, and the emergence of new investors, investment strategies, and trading practices. Originally developed by the OECD in 1999, then updated in 2004. The 2015 revision of the Principles of Corporate Governance addresses these and other emerging issues that are increasingly relevant. Building on the expertise and experience of policymakers, regulators, business, and other stakeholders from around the world, the principles provide an indispensable and globally recognized benchmark for assessing and improving corporate governance. The principles have been adopted as one of the Financial Stability Board's key standards for sound financial systems and have been used by the World Bank Group in more than 60 country reviews worldwide. They also serve as the basis for the guidelines on corporate governance of banks issued by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision. Now, these principles are non binding. They are intended to provide a robust but flexible reference for policymakers and market participants to develop their own frameworks for corporate governance. The principles provide guidance through recommendations and annotations across 6 areas. Let's have a look. The first principle is that the corporate governance framework should promote transparent and fair markets and the efficient allocation of resources. It should be consistent with the rule of law and support effective supervision and enforcement. The second principle says that the corporate governance framework should protect and facilitate the exercise of shareholders' rights and ensure the equitable treatment of all shareholders, including minority and foreign shareholders. All shareholders should have the opportunity to obtain effective redress for violation of their rights. The third principle lays down that the corporate governance framework should provide sound incentives throughout the investment chain and provide for stock markets to function in a way that contributes to good corporate governance. The fourth principle holds that the corporate governance framework should recognize the rights of stakeholders established by law or through mutual agreements and encourage active cooperation between corporations and stakeholders in creating wealth, jobs, and the sustainability of financially sound enterprises. Coming on to the fifth principle, which says that the corporate governance framework should ensure that timely and accurate disclosure is made on all material matters regarding the corporation, including the financial situation, performance, ownership, and governance of the company. The sixth and final principle is that the corporate governance framework should ensure the strategic guidance of the company, the effective monitoring of management by the board, and the board's accountability to the company and the shareholders. Now, let us study the mechanisms and controls of corporate governance. Corporate governance mechanisms and controls are designed to reduce the inefficiencies that arise from moral hazard and adverse selection. These are There are both internal monitoring systems and external monitoring systems. So let's have a look at both the internal and the external monitoring systems. Internal monitoring can be done, for example, by one or a few large shareholders in the case of privately held companies or a firm belonging to a business group. Furthermore, the various board mechanisms provide for internal monitoring. Now, coming to the next one, external monitoring of managers' behavior occurs when an independent third party, for example, the external auditor, attests the accuracy of information provided by management to investors. Stock analysts and debt holders may also conduct such external monitoring. An ideal monitoring and control system should regulate both motivation and ability while providing incentive alignment toward corporate goals and objectives. Care should be taken that incentives are not so strong that some individuals are tempted to cross lines of ethical behavior. For example, by manipulating revenue and profit figures to drive up the share price of the company. Internal corporate governance controls monitor activities and then take corrective actions to accomplish organizational goals. Examples include monitoring by the board of directors. The board, with its legal authority to hire, fire, and compensate top management, safeguards invested capital. Regular board meetings allow potential problems to be identified, discussed, and avoided. Whilst non-executive directors are thought to be more independent, they may not always result in more effective corporate governance and may not increase performance. Different board structures are optimal for different firms. Moreover, the ability of the board to monitor the firm's executives is a function of its access to information. Executive directors possess superior knowledge of the decision-making process and therefore evaluate top management based on the quality of its decisions that lead to financial performance outcomes. It could be argued, therefore, that executive directors look beyond the financial criteria. Internal control procedures are policies implemented by an entity's board of directors, an audit committee, management, and other personnel to provide reasonable assurance of the entity achieving its objectives relating to reliable financial reporting, operating efficiency, and compliance with laws and regulations. Internal auditors are personnel within an organization who test the design and implementation of the entity's internal control procedures and the reliability of its financial reporting. External corporate governance controls encompass the controls external stakeholders exercise over the organization. Financial reporting fraud, including non disclosure and deliberate falsification of values, contributes to users' information risk. To reduce this risk and to enhance the perceived integrity of financial reports, corporation financial reports must be audited by an independent external auditor who issues a report that accompanies the financial statements. Well, that's all from me in this video. Being a complex topic, we are studying the concept of corporate governance over 3 videos. I do hope that you have seen my earlier first part of my video on corporate governance. Do keep a lookout for my third video on the subject too. In the third and final video, we shall understand the importance of corporate governance in India and the SEBI Code of Corporate Governance. We shall also wrap up the topic with our observations to help us frame our examination answer. This video is based on the information freely available on the internet. No originality is claimed for the same. The intention of this video is only to prepare candidates for answering examination questions on the subject and not for any financial gain. Do like and share this video and do subscribe to my channel now so that you do not miss out on my previous or future videos. Till later then, cheerio.